Hey there. In case we are out tomorrow or whatever this week, this is going to be the next thing we get to after we talk about all the perks and stuff. If it looks like we're going to be out tomorrow, I may make a real quick video to finish that up. But anyway, on the bottom of your front page and the top of the next page, or I guess most of the next page, we get into the different roles that the president fills. Some are official, some are sort of ceremonial, if you will, or maybe by reality. So I'm going to talk about 3 in this video, and I think 3 in the next one, and that will introduce one of your assignments. Actually, both of your assignments, sort of, but one of your assignments for sure that you'll get, sometime this week. So anyway. First one is head of state, and the head of state is not really an official title. It's just that the president is sort of, especially has become that way over the years, that the head of state, that especially as the world sees us. The world didn't think a great deal of Donald Trump, except for a few countries. The world thought a great deal of Barack Obama. The world will see about Joe Biden. But when you ask somebody from another country who runs the country, they're going to say Trump or Biden or Obama or whatever. They're not going to say Mitch McConnell. They don't know who Mitch McConnell is. Defy you to find somebody who doesn't follow politics who could tell you anybody in the House or anybody in the Senate, beyond maybe a couple people, even that. But by the same token, can you name anybody in the German Bundestag or the French Parliament or in the British Parliament? It's not what we focus on. We focus on the head of state. So what the president does and what the president says, where they go, how they comport themselves, is a way that the United States is perceived, frankly, in many ways. So I'll leave you to your own conclusions there. Okay. The next one, a bit more important, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Technically, the president can engage the military in activity, and that normally, when you think of, we've already talked about this, we have 5 declared wars in our history. I think we have. If not, 1812, Spanish-American, World War I, World War II, Civil War. Those 5 are actually officially declared. Everything else was a result, except for the revolution, which is another thing, was a result of the executive. Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq, all that stuff. So all those kind of warlike things or military incursions, but even non-military things, sending the military out after a hurricane, the National Guard going out during this latest, the thing in the Capitol in December, and staying there. And setting up barriers and all that. That is the commander-in-chief, which Trump engaged and then Biden has picked up once he took office. So normally, you don't just like, okay, here's what we're going to do and here's how we're going to do it. The president more is, okay, our goal in Iraq was to take Saddam Hussein out of power. Our goal in Afghanistan was to take the Taliban out of power. And then you get into how do you do that? That's where the president normally would leave that up to the generals. It's not like Hitler saying we're going to attack here and move the troops there. The presidents know what they're doing. They just, we want this to happen, and then give some guidelines as to, I want this to happen, and the generals come back and say, well, we could do this, or this. We could nuclear weapon. We're done in 5 minutes. Well, I don't want to do that. We could use chemicals. We could use drones, we could, so on and so forth. And the president's job would be to take all those options, think about the possible loss of life, the time involved, the money involved, the relations with the other country, all those things hopefully are considered, and then make the decision based on those recommendations. And then adjust as things go on. If we need more, we need less, pull out troops, bring troops back in, change the rules of engagement, if you know what that means. Don't shoot civilians, don't bomb in neighborhoods and things like that if you can at all help it, kind of stuff. And the president's job is mainly to sort of oversee that, and then, like I said, just provide. Here's what I want. Get me there, and I'll decide the way once you give me the options. And then finally, chief executive, which is part of one of the questions you're going to get on an assignment, and that the president, in plain speaking, is in charge of carrying out policy, in charge of carrying out the laws, executing or enforcing the laws. Whether that is something as simple as the FBI breaking or arresting lawbreakers, it's also the Secret Service looking into counterfeiting, it's also the FDA approving drugs, it's the Health and Human Services engaging in healthcare stuff, it's making sure school lunch rules are followed and all those things. So many things. And you see in your outline you've got OMB, NSC, and FOMC. If we're in class, I'll talk about those. If not, it's not a huge deal. They're just different executive branch agencies that perform. I'm going to mainly focus on NSC and FOMC, but mainly form big, important functions that you may not have heard of. You know, the FBI is a lot more well known, but the NSC is probably more pervasive in what they do. So here what you get into, and this is what I'm going to get to, is that the president decides basically what to focus on and how much to focus on it. Trump comes in and says, we're going to protect the border. We're going to build a wall, a beautiful wall. Mexico's going to pay for it and all that. And then Biden comes in and says, no, we're not. We're going to open the border more, and we're going to do catch and release, which if you catch an illegal, you release them and say you got to be back here in so many days for your hearing, to avoid the bottlenecks and all the people at the border. Like, what do you physically do with them? Maybe you enforce, and it's not just about enforcing, it's about choosing what to focus on more. Trump, for instance, much more focused on things like oil and gas and fracking and those permits. The Biden administration is going to be more focused on things like solar and wind and electric vehicles and things like that. So that's where the money's going to go, that's where the focus is going to go, that's where the energy is going to go. So you sort of dictate policy by what you choose to look at and choose not to, if that makes sense. And that's a very, very common, you guys are experiencing the first time we've had a one-term president in your life. And you don't normally see this shifting gears like this. So it's a little different to see, which is kind of, from my perspective, interesting at least. So, but there's a lot here. Think about how much and where to focus is what I would get at there. So those are your first three. All right, back with the next three. See you.